It is 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories we're watching this Tuesday, April 8th. Former President Duterte's defense court team is now complete, according to his lead counsel, Nicholas Kaufman. 5 lawyers will be defending Duterte on charges of crimes against humanity at the International Criminal Court. Kaufman says at least 2 Filipino lawyers are helping, while French lawyer Dov Jacobs has just been confirmed as associate counsel.
Veronica Kitty Duterte has asked the Supreme Court to hold oral arguments on the petition seeking the release of her father from the ICC. She argues that the case raises novel constitutional issues and is of public importance. Kitty's family maintains that the ICC has no jurisdiction over the Philippines. Malacanang is suggesting that Senator Amy Marcos invite more law experts to the Senate inquiry on Duterte's arrest. Palace press officer Yusek Claire Castro said that this would provide a broader perspective and help clarify the matter. The hearing will resume on April 10 and will now be attended by several cabinet secretaries.
Kanlaon volcano in Negros Island remains on alert level 3 after an explosive eruption early Tuesday. The eruption began 5:51 a.m. and lasted for 56 minutes. Level 3 indicates magmatic unrest and the evacuation of residents within the 6-kilometer radius of the volcano's summit. And joining us today, buti hindi kayo inabot ng on-air natin. Yung pinag-usapan nyo kanina, medyo bordering on the ano kayo kanina.
Kami na.
Si Reg, lagi naman bordering si Reg.
Bordering on insurrection and sedition.
In unjust vexation, yung uso ngayon.
Joke lang yun. Okay, joining us today, Storycon's resident political pundit, Papa Raul Llamas.
Nax.
Hanggang hapon, no?
And from
Our primary seditious ano.
seditious.
Ako.
Vexatious.
For the established order ako eh.
Ano?
Oh, sus! Talaga ba?
Parang sa iyo. Okay.
And from the Philippine Star, Editor-in-Chief, Ami Pamintuan. Hi, Ami.
From yellow to white.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy nga ba?
Ibang naman yan.
Happy nga ba?
Hapon yung yellow.
Oh, maliwalas, oh. Lagi maliwalas si Ami.
Oo, hindi ka gaya ni Ronald.
Laging gloomy.
Gloom and doom.
Oh, ngayon ang gloomy si Reg.
Shoot them all.
Oo nga, ako yung gloomy.
Ngayon ang gloomy si Reg. Oh.
Si Miss Regina Lay is on the warpath right now.
No, because Ami,
Oh, there you go.
what we were talking about earlier is a different kind of eruption. So nag-erupt na yung Kanlaon. But anyways, we're talking about the tariff war.
The global system is
Wala
erupting.
na. The international rules-based free trade system that we know of in the past 80 years has been ripped up. It's burned to
Almost overnight.
pieces. And, you know, it looks like it's escalating. China today said that they will fight this to the end, meaning yung additional 50% tariff. So now, nasa 100% tariff na sila. They will fight this to the end. They are prepared for quote-unquote any type of war. So we are in very dangerous times. And my question to these guys kanina is, why aren't we doing anything about it? Like,
Dami natin ginagawa. Nag-uusap tayo sa Tricom.
about?
Fake news.
Yun nga. Ano yung...
Dina-downplay nga kasi ng gobyerno natin, dina-downplay.
Yun
Pero
na nga.
nag-issue na naman ngayon. Ngayon, PCCI naman.
Yes.
Nag-issue ng statement, the biggest business group in the Philippines,
Yes.
made up of mostly micro and small enterprises. Yung pinakamalaki nating grupo. And yun na nga, nagwa-warning sila about the potential adverse impact on our economy. Yung mga tariff. Sila lang ngayon, gobyerno lang nagda-downplay.
Yung head of state nga ng Singapore, nakadalawang address to parliament
Yeah.
na eh. Kahit sila yung pinakamaliit ang tama. 10% lang daw. Pero sila yung
Pero alam mo
pinaka-nag-work.
naman yung mga yun eh. Ano yun? Immediate ang ano nun. Ang contingency plans nun,
Yeah.
sigurado.
Yes, pero sila pa yung naglalabas ng maraming statement. Tapos tayo tahimik lang.
It's
Ayaw din na downplay.
it's about being far-sighted, right? And I feel like right now, medyo
Yeah.
short-sighted yung response natin because si Special Assistant to the President for Economic Affairs Secretary Frederick Go was quoted as saying, baka silver lining to because we're only 17%, second to the lowest in Southeast Asia. It might convince some manufacturing facilities to move to the Philippines. But it doesn't work like that. Kasi
Di nga tayo makakuha ng manufacturing for the longest time,
Yun na
for
nga.
decades and decades now.
Exactly. So, what investor in their right mind will say, oh, let's see who in Southeast Asia has the least tariffs to the U.S., from the U.S., and choose. Pogos will do that. Oh yeah, that's true, no?
They're not in their right mind.
Hindi naman sila tinatariff kasi. Services yon.
Those who look for the glass half full, not half empty. Oh.
This is my
Halimbawa,
pet peeve.
Halimbawa, for the next 5 to 10, halimbawa, for the next 5 to 10 years, wala bibili ng mga condos.
Oh, yun na nga. May
So,
glut na
may
nga
key sectors ka ng economy.
May oversupply na nga natitrigger na talaga ako. Because I worry about the implications, right? Because when you talk about tariff war, trade war, global trade war, hindi lang naman yung goods ang affected eh. Just because we're not an exporting country doesn't mean the impact will be minimal. It means everything, the supply chains are so interconnected. Everything is so interconnected, right? So it means pag may global slowdown, it will hit the local economy.
I-agitate mo pa ng konti.
Inaasahan kasi nila, dahil ang main dollar source kasi natin ay migrants, hindi daw maapektuhan.
Oo.
Yun ang pinanggagalingan.
Yung
Ang
economy.
hindi nila alam, tatamaan din yung labor market.
Oo.
Yun ang hindi nila naunawaan.
Sila ang unang binibitawan eh.
Oo.
We've seen that nung pandemic, di ba? Nung pandemic, ang daming binitawang OFWs kasi people couldn't afford to hire OFWs anymore. And we're floating around.
Let's assume kahit na they were able to hold on to their jobs. The economy is built on 2 pillars. Remittances, BPO. Yung BPO, ano mangyayari doon, right? Let's assume the remittances pillar stays intact. The BPO, syempre, the whole point of these tariffs is to bring the manufacturing and services back to the US, right?
At saka itong mga disruptors na ito, katulad ni Trump, ni Oban, ni Erdogan, ni Modi, etc. Itong mga disruptors na ito sa mga malalaking bansa, ang target nila, ang ginagamit nilang kaaway ay migrants. So, overhaul
Yung
nila
narrative,
yung buong
no?
economy nila, which affects the entire global economy. Pero ang ginagamit nilang target ay migrants.
Yes.
Eventually, tatamaan tayo niyan. No, yun yung akala natin hindi tatama sa atin.
So,
Ayun, direct hit natin, yung agriculture exports. Nagsasalita na nga yung farmers groups kinokontra pa rin ng Department of Agriculture. Nagwawarning
Ano bang
yung mga
gagawin?
apektado directly.
Eh,
Yung
Secretary-
Department of Agriculture, hindi daw totoo.
Yung Secretary of Agriculture
Malinaw
mo,
yung
Secretary of Agriculture mo, ang expertise dagat eh.
Oh.
So,
Siguro hindi.
hindi naman sa...
Apektuhan ba yun? Fisheries yun eh.
Oo.
Yung negosyo ng pamilya niya, fisheries yun.
Yeah. So, hindi naman sa what's the word?
I-agitprop mo pa. Agitprop.
Ano yung, hindi.
Anxious.
Agitprop. Yeah.
Hindi. Fear-mongering. Hindi naman sa we're fear-mongering, no? Pero I think we have to be
No, we have to
realistic.
prepare for the worst.
Yes.
Dahil kasi yung ibang bansa yun ang ginagawa eh.
The odds of a recession are rising, and 6 days na since Liberation Day in the U.S. And I'm still waiting to hear from President Marcos, to be honest, kasi this is not just an economic issue. This is an entire world issue, right? That this is a pivotal moment in time, and he needs to address the nation, right? On how we're preparing for this. Hindi pwedeng, alam ko nag-set up sila ng task force for the semicon industry, which will be impacted. But again, that is not the point. That is a very short-sighted way of looking at it. Which is, let's figure out how the semicon exports will fare. Pero you have to look at the broader picture, right?
Masanay kasi tayo sa patsi-patsi.
Yun na naman yung solution. Pachi-pachi na solution.
Patsi-patsi, dito lang tayo, ayusin natin to, ayusin to. Parang mga band-aid solutions, di ba? Hindi yung buong system ang hinahanda mo.
Yun na nga.
Di ba?
Yun na nga.
Magpatawag tayo ng House Inquiry.
Yan, tawag natin.
Native
Eh,
legislation.
busy pa sila sa fake news and how to regulate the bloggers.
Tawag natin si
Tuloy-tuloy
Sub-Saharan
pa nga
Africa.
hanggang ngayon.
Yun na nga. Yun na nga, Ami.
Isa pang ina-agitprop mo parati.
Ano?
Tawag natin si Sub-Saharan Africa.
Hoy, pati
Medicine daw
Africa
yan,
was...
sabi ni Trump. That's a bitter pill. You have to swallow it. Sabi ni
Sometimes you
Trump.
have to take the medicine.
Actually, it's not a
Ay,
pill.
nako, I don't-
It's an entire world view. They're changing the entire global system.
He is
Parang
changing.
fentanyl yung binigay sa atin, ano? Fentanyl eh.
Oo.
Fentanyl is a painkiller. It's
Hindi. Nakakamatay ang fentanyl.
Yung baliktad rin ng fentanyl.
Sana hindi mangyari. Usually kasi kung may mga ganyan disruption, katulad ng 1930s, no, na kung saan yung entire global system, yung classical capitalist system na nakatali sa balance trade, no, at saka sa gold standard, nagbago because of the international depression, di ba? Yun ang nangyari. And eventually, went into war, World War II.
Yes.
Di ba? Yun ang nangyari. Sana hindi naman mangyari yun. Usually, pag may ganyan disruption kasi, no, ay nagkakaroon din ng hindi lang economic problems. Nagkakaroon ng military engagement.
No, because
No?
it...
Because it's nag-aagawan kayo sa market.
Oo.
A trade war is a prerequisite para sa isang mas global war.
Yes.
No, yan yung
Yes.
problema diyan dahil eventually yung economic warfare may lead to a real war.
I get what you're saying. Sana hindi. Pero again, yung 1930s example is it eventually devolved into World War II because may destabilizing consequences Of course, if
Pag
every
nagulo
country...
yung global system.
Japan's point of view of the Second World War was that the U.S. fired the first shots with economic sanctions.
Oo. That's their view.
Yes, their view.
Which is...
Of course, it's
Baliktad
debatable.
sa-
It's debatable, but
Yeah.
from their point of view, you've been fighting us for so long already.
Yeah.
It's just now that we're fighting back with bombs.
Oo.
Actually, nung nangyari yung International Depression ng 1930s, yung recession, no, ay tatlong
Buhay
models.
ka na nun.
Ha?
Buhay ka na nun.
Yung lolo ko. Yung lolo ko. Tatlo yung naging alternatives dyan eh. Tatlo yung naging alternatives. Yung isa, yung fascist Germany, na basically statist.
Yes.
Dinevelop nila yung kanilang infrastructure along a fascist line. No? Yun yung nangyari. Sa US naman, yung si Theodore Roosevelt, state intervention. No? Yun yung ginawa niya. Tapos sa Scandinavian countries like Sweden, yung social welfare, yung
kanya-kanyang
social
approach
protection.
din,
So,
yeah.
kanya-kanyang approach.
Yeah.
At yun yung naging linyahan sa gera.
Yeah.
The American model na state intervention pero within a democratic system, tapos yung state intervention within a fascist system. Eventually, yun yung nagbungguan no, nung panahon na.
Kaya naging World War II.
Kaya ngayon, ang hinihintay natin, ano yung magiging alternatives dito? No? Dahil ito nga itong populist trend na ito na nangyari
Is
nitong past 2 decades.
Bumubunggo sa neoliberal economic principles.
Pinubunggo yung neoliberal system niya, anti-oligarchy, anti-labor,
Yeah.
no, at anti-free market. No? So, ano ngayon ang magiging kanyan? Pupuntahan. Yun, at tayo ay
Pupunta
We're just collateral damage.
Pagbabawalan yung mga
tayo
vlogger.
ay naghihiring sa
Fake news.
Ay mag-eleksyon.
At saka mag-election. Impeachment, tsaka ICC.
Oo. At yung mga mananalo, alam ko ano gagawin dyan. Magkakaroon tayo ng mga mas magagaling na senador na alam kung ano yung ating magiging role dyan sa pag-collapse ng global system.
At
Hintayin nyo.
Akala ko yung pag-collapse ng ekonomiya natin.
Hintayin nyo. No?
hindi ko...
Magkakaroon tayo ng mga senador na pag
Seryoso?
sila ay nanalo ay aalamin nila kung anong gagawin nila as senators.
Wipe up. Your sarcasm is all over the place. It's dripping.
Oh, you never know. You gotta hope for the best, right? Ito nga yung, this is the country that likes to look at things at glass half full parati. Sabi mo nga. But yeah, it does feel more dangerous than the last global trade war.
Inawin natin hindi ako nagsimula niyan.
And ang ang nakakatawa, because no one is talking about it.
Usually ako nagsisimula no? Ngayon
We have to talk about it because it's a serious issue that will impact everyone's lives.
Wag matako.
and
Tawagan natin si Kwan, si Sub-Saharan Africa.
And I don't
At
understand.
least nagsasalita ng ibang grupo outside the government, contradicting what the government is saying.
Oo, Ami, isa-isa.
Pero
At
mabilis
least
ito.
meron ng mga
Hindi
nagsasalita.
ito slow burn, Ami. Itong mga nangyayaring ito. Quick burn ito. No?
Kasi yung unang reaction dito nga dinownplay.
Yun na nga.
Yan yung reaction dito.
Yeah, but what are the
Kaya
chances that
nag-isip-isip
they'll do an
muna,
about
bakit
turn?
natin dina-downplay? Lahat ng buong mundo nag-aalala tayo, nagda-downplay.
What are the chances they'll do?
They'll do an about turn.
Sino, US?
No, the Philippine government, if they're downplaying everything,
Okay,
silver lining is
Oh,
there.
sure. They can always turn around and say,
you have groups saying na,
Oh.
no, you have to watch out. But what are the chances that they'll admit na?
of course, sure.
we
You can always
miscalculated?
admit you got it wrong.
Mahirap kasi mag-admit
But-
kung hindi mo alam kung anong gagawin eh.
Yeah.
There you go.
And secondly, the point is you've already sent a signal that we're a passive player in the global stage, right? You've already sent a signal na, okay.
Antay lang kami.
We'll take this 17% reciprocal tariff, right? And
Ang Singapore nga,
and
10%
and see it as a silver
Nag-worry.
lining, right? You've already sent the message na even though this is the Philippines' oldest ally, we call it our oldest ally, pero binigyan tayo ng 17% quote-unquote reciprocal tariff, we'll take it cheerfully, right? You've already sent that message. That's the point. It's like, here was a chance for you to step up and say,
It's
the
good
premise
kasi-
of your tariff is
kasi
wrong.
it's not 18%.
Actually, it's weird. It's
least
weird
not
eh.
18%.
Bakit sila mag-i-impose ng 17% reciprocal tariff when they're earning from
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
by more
Yeah.
than $10 billion? Ibig sabihin sila yung may surplus.
Babawas
It should
daw
be the
tayo
other way
ng
around.
tariff sa
Tayo
kanila
yung
naman.
deficit eh.
So we should impose
tayo dapat yung mag-i-impose sa US eh. Dahil sila yung nakikinabang sa atin eh. Diba?
Bakit mo lang nagsabi niyan?
Oh, hindi.
Ano, dali.
Wala
Hindi,
nga.
nag-i-impose natin tariff sa kanila.
Magbabawas pa nga daw tayo ng tariff sa kanila.
O yun.
Magbabawas tayo ng tariff sa American
Potentially to zero.
exports to the Philippines.
Usually, ba, US, gagawin yan sa Vietnam, gagawin sa China. Dahil kasi, meron silang trade deficit. No, lamang yung China sa kinikita sa trade sa kanila. Eh sa atin, the other way around.
Deficit tayo with the US, di ba? Hindi ba? Or surplus?
Hindi, sila nakikinabang sa
Sila
atin
may
by
surplus
more,
sa atin?
by more than
Akala
10
ko
billion.
deficit sila.
Hindi. $10 billion ang kanilang ang
Surplus
kita
sa
sa
Philippines.
pagbagsak ng mga produkto nila rito. No?
We're importing more than
Hindi pa
Ang
counting
latest word
services.
ngayon sa Washington, sabi ni Trump, tuloy daw yung tariff, but he is open to negotiations.
Negotiations.
which in a way is also his style. Diba? Bibigay
It's
ka
a
ng ganun.
negotiating tactic.
Oh, biglayin ka ng
Hindi,
ganun.
pero
Rumble ka.
ang problema mo, hindi mo pwedeng ibalik yung genie eh. Na parang overnight. Dahil pinakawalan mo na eh. Di ba? Pinakawalan mo na.
Nag-react na lahat eh.
Lahat naghahanda
Tapos
na.
across the board.
Oo. Hindi mo na pwedeng ibalik eh. Yan ang problema niya.
Parang naglabas ka ng atom bomb, tapos sabihin mo na, dapat pala, dapat pala.
Yung fallout, no,
Wala
isasoli
na.
mo. Yung radiation na kumalat na.
Dapat pala, lang, slingshot.
Kumalat na yung radiation eh.
Wait, teka, ang reporter natin naghihintay na, si
Marian.
Of
Marian
that,
Enriquez.
for the important
Sige.
hearing.
Balik tayo sa basic. No, kung saan kasi dinadala ni Red yung usapan.
Ang gulo na
Wala
Punta
naman.
tayo sa mas mahalaga.
Just our economic future, pero sige.
Pumunta tayo sa mas mahalaga.
O sige, Ed.
Marian, the House Tri-Committee resumes its fourth hearing on online disinformation today. Marian, anong balita
Ano
dyan?
ba yung highlights at saka controversial sa hearing na yan, Maria?
Anong hindi nangyari?
Actually, ngayon lang, kakaumpisa lang ng pinaka-ising controversial. So far, buong araw ngayon dito nga sa pagdinig ng House Tri-Committee. So bago ko nga muna umpisahan yun, yung pinag-uusapan ngayon sa Tri-Committee, kanina, first time ever, after 4 times nga na inimbitahan, ngayon lang po may nakadalo na representative ng Meta o yung dating ang tinatawag na Facebook. At ayun nga, kay Southeast Asia Director of Public Policy, Dr. Rafael Frankel, meron silang tatlong hakbang talaga na para itackle o labanan nga yung misinformation. Sinabi nga dyan, tinatanggal daw nila yung mga account at content na lumalabag sa kanilang community standards, lalo na yung mga mapanirang impormasyon. Pangalawa, binabawasan din nila yung pagkalat ng low quality content, lalo na yung mga na-fact-check na. At pangatlo, nagbibigay rin sila ng mga impormasyon sa netizen sa paggamit nga ng karagdagang konteksto para makatulong sa pagde-decide ano ba yung babasahin, paniniwalaan o pwede i-share na content. At sabi nga ng Meta, nakikipag-partner na rin nga sila sa third-party fact-checker sa bansa na certified ng International Fact-Checking Network gaya ng Rappler, Verifiles at Agence France. Kanina, ginit ng ilang mga kongresista na dapat mayroong local office ang Meta sa bansa. Ayon kay One Rider Party Representative Roger Gutierrez, hamon kasi nga yung pakikipag-coordinate o yung pagpapaabot ng mga reklamo sa naturang kumpanya dahil nasa US at Singapore nga yung kanilang mga opisina. Kadalasan daw, aabot pa ng 6 na oras o hanggang isang araw bago mabalikan ng Meta yung mga law enforcement agencies kung sakaling may request na kailangan i-take down. Ang problema, sa loob ng ganitong kahabang oras, viral na yung content o post o kumbaga na damage is done na, lalo na nga kung may public presentation yung pinag-uusapan. Pagtatanong naman kanina ni Public Order and Safety Vice Chairperson at Antipolo Representative Romeo Acop sa Meta, kung may responsibilidad ba ito sa mga content na pinupost ng netizens sa kanilang platform. Sagot ng Meta, responsibilidad lang nila na tiyakin na may balance sa boses at kaligtasan ng netizens. At users pa rin daw talaga may pinaka-responsibility sa kanilang mga pinupost online. Kiti ako, ang kawalan ng malinaw na pananagutan ng mga social media platform gaya ng Meta ay isang mahalagang issue dahil nahihirapan nga raw yung mga Pinoy na makakuha ng agarang tugon kapag may nangyayaring pananakit o abuso online. Kaya nga, ay ako, baka kailangan ng pag-aralan yung posibilidad na obligahin yung mga social media platform na magpa-accredit o magparehistro para matiyak nga may madaling makakausap na kinutawan mula sa kumpanya. Dito nga ni Akop, issue raw ito ng pananagutan, hindi lamang ng regulasyon, kundi protection na rin daw para sa sambayan ng Pilipino. At bukod ko nga, mainit-init pa, kakaumpisa lang ngayon, umupo dito nga, sa hearing, ang isang Pebos Kunanan. Ano siya, blogger daw na kasama doon sa isang dinner meeting noong maisog rally sa Hong Kong. Naalala niyo yun, yung kumalat na polvoron video, kung saan nakita umano na gumagamit ng illegal na droga o cocaine nga so dating Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Kumalala niyo yung video na yun?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yun yung pinag-uusapan ngayon. Nag-testify ngayon, ongoing, itong si Pebos Kunanan. At dun sa kanyang sinumpaang salaysay, sinabi niya, binanggit niya na ang nag-sponsor o yung nagpakain nga ng dinner na mag-isog rally sa Hong Kong noong July 7, 2024, last year, ay si Attorney Harry Roque. Kasama nga doon sa meeting na yon yung iba pang mga personalidad gaya nila Attorney Glenn Chong, Attorney Trixie Cruz Angeles, Dr. Lorraine Badoy, may picture to Sastro Gando Sastro at Miss Joy De Vibre. At yung iba nga nandito sa pagdinig. Dito sinabi nga nitong Pebos Kunanan na ito na doon nag-umpisa kung yung video daw na yon may role yun. Tapos pagdating ng Vancouver rally, ng Maisog rally, kung maalala nyo, July 2024, kung ipinakita nga sa publiko ni Attorney Harry Roque, yung sa unang pagkakataon, yung polvoron video, sinabi pa niya, sabi daw to ni Attorney Harry Roque, magaling ako magpabagsak ng gobyerno. Ito yung sinabi niya doon sa meeting. Sabi niya, if I were quote, basta sa pagkakaiti daw niya, dahil yun sa mga pinag-usapan ng gabi yun, ipapapakalat ng video kung saan niya gumamit di umano ng cocaine, PM, ay sinasabi raw Attorney Harry Roque, na pagpapabagsak ng gobyerno. At meron daw yung dalawang kopya. Yung isang raw, yung isa naman, yung enhanced na tinatawag niya, yung edited or inaugment daw na video para pagmukhain itong ulong BBM daw mismo, yung nasa ako'y na doon mismo sa video. Yun yung kasalukuyan ngayon gumugulo, dito nga sa interpellation ni Congressman Romeo Acop.
Okay. So yung hearing din umiikot, but were they able to determine kung ano yung veracity ng video na yan before they even showed it dun sa Hong Kong dinner? I mean, kasi yung iba dun sa dinner nandun na sa dinner. It's not their fault that they were there. It's not necessarily doesn't necessarily mean that they did anything wrong. Pero yun nga when they showed that video, ito yung pinapakita ngayon, was there any talk as to how they were able to check the veracity?
Actually ngayon, lumabas lang tayo saglit pero tinignan ko ulit kung ano yung nagpe-play. Parang ang piniplay na nila ngayon enhanced video daw. Para mas maliwanag at mas mapakita raw na si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos daw yung kumbaga gumagamit ng cocaine umano.
Well, just to be clear, yung video yun na nobody knows, nobody has been able to check, I think, kung gaano katotoo
To
yun.
verify it.
At mukhang hindi siya nagkaroon ng traction.
Oo.
Parang 2 araw lang, tapos wala na. No? Ibig sabihin, wala siyang impact.
Kasi yung itsura parang yun.
Wala masyadong maniwala. No? Whether totoo yan o hindi ay is another thing. Pero wala, it fell flat.
Actually, bang maalala niya, kinwestiyon din nga yung timing niya dahil inilabas yan. Parang, I think a day before SONA, the State of the Nation address ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Kung maalala ninyo.
Oh, yeah.
Kaya medyo yes, talagang medyo pinagdudahan din or yun nga, yung timing.
Pero ako parang ano what's the point of that? I mean, what's the whole point? I mean, if there was anything done illegally, then they should just simply go after that person. They don't have to go to Congress for something like this. I mean, diba, if somebody wants to file a case, then somebody should file a case. I mean, what's Congress's deal here? What are they trying to do?
I think what they're trying to do right now, Bok, really is to tuntunin sino ba yung mga, kumbaga, initiators, nag-umpisa, nagpakalat nitong ng polvoron video, no? Na kung umano'y gumagamit si PBBM. Kasi kanina rin natakal, no? Even yung tungkol sa mga issues sa West Philippine Sea, yun natakal din yun kanina during dun sa period ng interpellation kay PCG spokes.
Yeah. We remember that from the last time din naman eh. But even then, that was also a question na parang, so what's Congress trying to prove? What is prove there?
Oo nga.
Mas ano pa sa akin yung sasabi ni Harry na magaling siya magpabagsak ng gobyerno. Parang, how often does he
try? Okay. Okay. We'll let you go and go. We'll let you go back to the hearing.
Dignify mo si ex-human rights lawyer.
Thank you,
Thank you,
News 5
Marian.
correspondent
Salamat, Marian.
Marian.
Thank you, Marian. Mas yung pa nag-strike sa akin na
You're watching.
magaling supposedly sinabi raw ni allegedly sinabi ng witness sa Kongreso na yun ang sinabi ni
Mukhang capable
Harry.
naman siya. Dahil pag believe ka sa sarili mo, talagang ang dami mong pwede pabagsakin na gobyerno.
Pero allegedly. You're watching Storycon on One News. We just need to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
Matuloy
Stay
na
with us.
We've got developing news and the stories behind headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay, still with us, Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star, and Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit.
Let's bring in our guest for today, retired Rear Admiral Romel Judong. Sir, magandang hapon, Admiral Ong, and welcome back to Storycon.
Hi,
Ay, sir,
Admiral.
baka nakamute po. Sir, can you hear us, sir?
Admiral Ong?
Baka nakamute lang po.
Yes. Nagsalita na siya.
Nasasata siya?
Baka hinahak ng China.
Sir, can you hear us, sir?
Admiral.
Uy, baka may
Admiral,
maniwala
can you hear
sa'yo.
us?
Yes, sir.
Okay na.
Ayun na.
I think they're...
Gandang hapon,
Pero
Admiral.
nagsasalita na
Welcome
siya.
back.
Sir, okay na, sir? You can hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Sir, itong mga hinuli ng China, it turns out that they were also they were scholars of China.
Scholars of China.
Students.
So
Ibig sabihin, sobrang galing natin. Binabayaran ng China yung mga mag-i-espiya sa kanila. No? Masyado tayong sophisticated.
so we're trying to figure out is this for real? I mean how parang it almost sounds like
Sa experience
Saturday
nyo,
Night Live.
Admiral, ano bang tingin nyo rito? Gaslighting ba ito? Ito ba ay tunay na espionage operation? No?
Or is it a tit-for-tat thing?
Okay, I was watching your interview yesterday. So, yung punot-dulo niyan, yung sister city arrangement between
Yes, sir.
Chinese
Kainan
provinces or cities
Yes, sir.
at saka yung ating provinces and cities. Yun yung loop. So, kung ibabalik natin yung argument sa China, scholars nila to eh. That means they underwent a vetting process
Yes,
before
sir.
they were even done to China before nung nag-scholarship sila. So yung history nung tatlo na yan, kabisado nila. So, yun yung butas nung nila nung allegation na spy yan. Pangalawa, I would agree na parang tit for tat yan based doon sa yung nahuli rin natin mga spiya dito sa lately ng NBI.
Yes, sir. Sir, your second point, sir, if it's tit for tat, then it would appear, if it's retaliation, it would almost appear like an admission na we did catch some spies. Am I getting that right?
Well, basta tingnan niyo, balikan niyo yung statement ng Chinese Embassy mismo. Sila yung nag-connect eh.
Yeah, yung concluding remarks ng Global Times. Kinonekta nila doon sa mga hinuli natin.
Not even yung merong statement yung Chinese Embassy regarding this incident at saka yung nahuli natin. So sila mismo in the framing nung nila, nung pagkahuli doon sa China at saka yung yung nahuli rito sa Pilipinas, kinonect nila eh.
Para sa purpose ng ating mga nakikinig, Admiral, paano nila kinonect?
Doon sa pagkakalatag ng kanilang media release ng Chinese Embassy, sinabi nila na medyo hindi ko na-memorize, no? But
Kahit paraphrase,
basically
sir.
sinasabi nila, may relation yung pagkakahuli nila doon ng mga tatlong Pilipino sa China at yung nangyaring insidente rito ng pagkakahuli ng mga Chinese nationals sa Pilipinas. You have to read between the lines yung yung statement nila. At saka kung babalikan natin, yung nahuli ng una palawas, nahuli siya ng October, di ba?
Yes, sir.
And pretty much quiet yung quiet naman yung incident na yun eh. So ang my personal sense is nahuli siya for a different violation. Nahuli siya for a different violation. Then based on yung interview nyo, I think kahapon,
Yes, sir, Kapon.
basically hindi naman nag-surface yung issue na yun eh. Kung dati halos tago nga eh. Until nilabas ng Global Times recently. Tapos pinagsama na yung dalawang nahuli lately tsaka yung naunang nahuli no October. Tapos hinrame na nila na espionage yung dahilan nung pagkakahuli ng tatlo. Kung babalikan natin, yung mga recently na mga nahuli was only around early this year.
Yes, sir. Mga February.
Okay. So kung titingnan natin konteksto, halos parallel o pareho doon sa ginawa nila sa Canada eh. At saka sa US. Yung sa Canada, if you remember, merong nahuli yung anak nung CEO ng Huawei. Then ang ginawa ng China, meron silang inaresto I think 2-3 Canadians. Tapos charge din nila ng espionage. Okay, so sila yung naging bargaining chip para may balik sa kanila yung yung anak ng at CEO ng Huawei. So kaya nga tawag natin dito, most likely, hostage diplomacy yan. So kukuha sila ng leverage, intentionally hinipe up nila yung tatlong nahuli para mag-elevate sa public natin yung issue.
So because naglabas yung Global Times, which as we know is run by the Chinese state, because they wrote about it, is this now officially a diplomatic row? Can we call it that? Or minor issue lang to?
The point there is in-elevate nila yung issue through Global Times para makatch yung attention natin. Otherwise,
Meron ba tayong spy program? Alam ko nung World War II, meron tayong mga espiya sa mga Hapon. Saka yung counter-terrorism natin, pero local yun, domestic. Meron ba tayong history na nag-i-spy tayo sa ibang bansa? Kasi it needs special training. It needs very specialized training. And kailangan yung objective mo malinaw na malinaw. How to go about it.
Medyo difficult ang second country operation sa China kasi number one yung language. Pangalawa yung surveillance mechanism nila is very comprehensive doon eh. Okay? So mahirap gumalaw doon sa China if you're thinking of yung normal espionage activities. So I don't think this is yung what you would call a legitimate intelligence operation by our government.
Halimbawa, sa Beijing, yung kanilang mga CCTV, yung kanilang facial recognition is the most advanced in the world, no? At bawat sulok, merong CCTV na very advanced. Magtapon ka lang ng upos ng sigarilyo, huli ka eh. So, mag-espiya ka pa, ay lalo na. Pero, Admiral, pwede niyo bang i-compare yung profile ng mga nahuli natin dito as alleged Chinese spies at yung mga profile ng ating tatlong estudyante na inisponsor ng China na hinuli nila? Pwede mo bang i-compare para sa ating mga listeners, makita nila yung pagkakaparehas o pagkakaiba?
Well, as I said earlier, kung babalikan natin yung history ng tatlong Pilipino, they were originary scholars based because of yung most likely a memorandum of understanding or agreement between the province of Palawan at the Hainan province ng China. Okay? So merong may paper trail yung yung pagkakapunta nila sa China as scholars. Okay? Then meron normal background investigation of vetting process yan, I presume, bago nila inalaw maging scholars. Nakabalik na yan ng Pilipinas, then nag-apply, I believe, nag-apply ulit sa China for work.
Trabaho.
Ibig sabihin, yung paper trail nila back and forth, from scholars, bumalik ng Pilipinas, then going back to China as migrant workers, hindi mo makakaila yung yung history ng tao. So traceable yan eh.
Admiral, may binabanggit doon na dalawang supposedly security agencies ng Pilipinas eh. Baka naman meron kayong alam na gano'n na hindi namin alam.
Philippine Spy
Yung nandun
Agency.
Non-existent agency.
Gagawa
Baka
ka
naman
rin-
meron kayong alam na totoo
Philippine
nga na
Statistics
ganong agency.
Gagawa ka ng intelligence agency na ang pangalan, Philippine Spy Agency.
Oo, meron. Baka naman totoo yan. May alam ba kayo sa ganon, Admiral?
Obviously po, wala namang gano'n sa agency. So parang,
Oh.
hindi mo tuloy maintindihan kung nananadya silang i-joke time tayo o
Ano ba to?
Gino-joke lang
Admiral?
tayo.
Kung ba to, Admiral, in your face? Parang alam naman nila yung mga spy agencies natin eh, di ba? Alam naman nila yung profile ng mga spies eh. Di ba? Hindi naman yung mga estudyante na sila mismo nagbayad. Ito ba ay talagang in your face lang para ipakita lang nila na kaya namin gawin ito sa inyo with impunity? Kaya wag niyong hulihin yung mga tunay na espiya namin. May ganun bang drama sila rito? Parang kinikiskis sa mukha mo eh. Dahil China knows better eh. Alam naman nila kung ano yung ating intelligence agencies. Alam naman nila yung profile ng mga ng mga tunay na spies.
The
No?
entire bureaucracy is full of confidential intelligence funds. So baka
Bakit?
from their point of view,
Oo.
lahat kayo.
Ano yan? Si Kwan ba yan?
Baka meron ng
At least kung
ganun tunay na
magpapadala man
agency.
tayo ng spy, papangalanganan natin na piatos. O kaya papangalanan natin
Ng ewan.
tempura. Di ba?
Ewan.
But by the way, tunay na spies, quote unquote, because also they're denying it, 'di ba? Yung mga nahuli dito, hindi naman daw spies, nagtatrabaho lang
Mga negosyante daw yan.
Oo, exactly. So we also don't know. Pero sabi nga ni Admiral, go ahead Admiral.
well, number one, yung first question, kunin niyo yung subliminal message. Ang sinasabi niya, ang vulnerability niyo, yung migrant workers niyo, doon ako baba.
Yes. Oo.
Yun yung message niya actually.
Ingat
Kaya
kayo.
nga, kumbaga, very blatant and very almost illogical yung charge eh. Ang sinasabi niya actually, if you read between the lines, is kaya ko kayong balikan, ang pagbalik ko, migrant workers ko ang titirahin ko. Okay. And magbilang-bilang na tayo kailan yung migrant workers natin doon kasi yun talaga vulnerability natin. Okay.
Admiral, anong dapat gawin ng ating gobyerno in the light of this developments? No? Kailangan ba nating i-review yung ating mga sister city projects? Medyo marami yan, lalo na ng panahon ng previous government. Ano yung mga kailangan nating ayusin para ma-mitigate yung ganyang klaseng mga threats?
But also in the short term, paano matutulungan tong tatlong to that are detained?
Well, yung tatlo muna, no? There is a protocol for that naman by our department, I believe by the Department of Foreign Affairs who dealing with incidents like this. Okay? So let's let the DFA do its work in terms of I believe it falls under, I may not be sure, I'm not correct, if I'm correct, but falls under consular services na eh. Looking at, or yung Department of Migrant Workers natin can look at it as well. Para desecuritize yung issue. Okay. On the other question about the sister city, we've done a study of that sa school. Ang problema kasi natin dito sa history ng sister city arrangement o sister provinces, number one, yung history niya, very minimal yung oversight by, let's say, DFA or DILG. dito sa activities na to. So, parang anong nangyari dito, we are allowing our local government units to conduct their own foreign policy initiatives without adult supervision by the national government agencies like DILG and DFA. Pangalawa, ang kasulatan lang na kumbaga nagsusupervise dito sa arrangement na to is a memorandum from the DILG, which I think it should be elevated to something much higher na type of document para at least magkaroon ng interagency oversight over this type of activities. Kasi tumatawid siya minsan, particularly if yung arrangement is cultural exchange o minsan scholarship program, tumatawid yan sa trabaho ng education. Then minsan pumapasok yan sa trabaho ng DFA, papasok din sa trabaho ng DLG. And obviously, ang pinaka-overlay dyan, security consideration. So hindi
Pero Admiral, kasi yung sistemang yan, alam ko, simula nung pagkatagal-tagal na, for decades now, matagal na existing yung sinasabi nyo na LGUs, working for sister city or sister province relationships. Ngayon lang naman kasi tayo nagka-problema. Dati naman kasi lahat kaibigan natin. It's a pretty benign arrangement. Sino ba naman mag-aakala na magkakaroon ng ganyang problema? So you are supporting, and meron ngayon mga calls actually, mostly from security officials, na i-review nga yung sistemang yan, sister city arrangement. Pero, paano naman yun? China lang ang epektado actually.
That's
Are we
correct.
going to make gagawa tayo ng na national
Ng
policy
blanket,
na
blanket
actually
policy.
ang target lang is China?
Hindi naman, tama ka rin na doon, no, na hindi lang naman China, may sister city arrangement tayo. Meron din sa US. Meron din sa...
Napakarami, ayos pati sa Europe
Yeah. So, tama ka naman doon. So, maybe, kailangan lang talaga i-review yung particular, yung sa China lang. Kasi babalik pa rin yan sa kung titingnan nyo. We had problems with Pogo before. Ang atake niya through economic investment kasi nakapackage sa economic. Then we have this sister city arrangement. Ang atake niya, socio-cultural. Okay? And yung sa dagat, yung sa West Philippines, ibang atake naman yun. So, kung makikita nyo, multi-front yung approach nila sa Pilipinas kung paano tayo i-influensyahan. So itong na to, itong incident involving yung tatlong Pilipino, is just one aspect of it. Kumbaga.
Admiral, may precedent na ba na ganito na yung isang bansa may nahuling alleged spies natin, tapos may nahuli tayong alleged spies nila, tapos magkaroon ng spy swap?
I was gonna say prisoner swap ba ito?
Dito ba, meron na ba ganyang precedent? Ikalawa, kung doon papunta ito, handa ba tayo na pumasok sa ganyang klaseng framework? Dahil baka magmukhang inaamin natin na meron tayong spies sa China pag pumayag tayo sa isang spy swap. No?
Sa tingin ko, hindi. Kasi gaya ng sinabi mo, medyo dihado tayo doon sa ganung arrangement. But remember, hindi lang naman ito yung we should treat these three Filipinos as parang hostings ng China.
Okay.
Sir, pahabol na lang. I'll back up a bit. Kasi ang allegation ng China is that, for example, Sarbanyes conducted close-range surveillance taking photographs near Chinese military facilities. I'm wondering lang, at this day and age, meron pa bang value yung pagkukuha ng mga picture malapit sa instalasyon na...
Click.
Hindi ba
Ako
parehas siya?
marami kong ganong picture.
Pero it's the same accusation as the Chinese guy who was detained here, di ba?
Actually, that's also a good point.
He was taking photos daw of the AFP facilities.
But he had
around.
Pero mas
also equipment.
sophisticated yung kanyang equipment.
He had equipment at the back of his
At the back of the car.
Hindi
So
hindi siya taking
when you
pictures.
think about it, it's the exact same allegation, but that both sides are, throwing at the other right now. So kaya nga, sabi nga ni Admiral Ong, naging tit for tat.
Pero sir, yun, that question, meron pa bang value yung gano'n na, I remember that Cold War is very Cold
May
War.
mga maliliit na camera, di ba? Kukunin mo kukunin mo yung agenda sa Storycon.
Di value
Ganon,
pa ba
In
yun?
the
Hindi
age
siya
of
labas.
satellite surveillance and all that, would you still ask your foot soldiers to take pictures?
Hindi, on-the-job training. Para
On-the-job
sa
training.
mga
Sa
juniors.
low-level spies. Mga
Ano kasi yung Chinese methodology ng intelligence is different from the West. Yung West kasi, ang approach nila is look for that high value person na may access to information. Tapos you try to recruit that person. Okay, so sa China hindi, they're not looking for the high value person there. Ang ginagamit nila yung kanilang sariling nationals. And they give them tasks. Tapos pichi-pichi lang yan eh. Then they will try to collate yung lahat ng small data and create the big picture. Okay? So yung allegation nila sa atin actually, yun yung gawain nila. Kung titingnan nyo sa US, ginagamit nila Chinese tourists talagang tourists. May dalalang camera at kumukuha ng picture sa mga campo ron sa mga American tourists.
Pati balon.
So, parang yung gawain nila, yun yung ginagawa nilang justification para isisi din sa ating mga people.
Yeah.
Tsaka Admiral, ang kaibahan yata rito, yung mga nako-convert nila in support of China, hindi lang tatago, pinagmamalaki pa nila eh. Nagte-testify pa nga sila sa Congress at tinaamin nila na nag-train sila para maging vloggers mismo sa China. So medyo iba eh.
Tumalon na yung issue.
Medyo iba.
Iba na yun. Ibang hearing na
Related
yun.
actually, related yun. Related.
Usually spies nagtatago eh. Dito hindi, nakalantad eh.
Oo nga eh. Pero that was the one-off trip daw, sabi nila, to China. To train on digital, digital storytelling.
Maraming ganong program ang Chinese government. Marami sila.
Kaya wag ka pupunta sa China, baka mapagbintangan ka. Right?
Okay. On that note, we will leave that conversation. Thank you so much for joining Storycon again. Retired Rear Admiral Romel Jude Ong.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat,
Thank you, Admiral.
Galit pa ba si Reg?
Oo, may tariff pa rin eh. May tariff war pa
Medyo
rin.
na-divert na kaunti sa China. Medyo na-divert na kaunti.
China nga yung...
Dahil nagpe-prepare kasi tayo magtayo ng artificial islands sa EEZ ng China. Kaya tayo nagpapadala ng mga spy.
In the meantime, handa na siya to strike Taiwan.
Oo. Tsaka nagpe-prepare tayo para i-invade yung China. Oo.
Delikado.
Hindi mo alam yun.
Hindi ko alam.
People might take you seriously.
Kaya ka nagpapadala ng spy dahil nagpe-prepare ka either pasabugin yung internal key agencies doon sa papasukin mo or i-invade mo.
People might take you seriously.
Meron ba?
We have nothing to do with the person beside us.
Tingin mo may nagsiseryoso?
Kaya ka napagbibintangan na insurrectionist.
You wipe up kasi your sarcasm is again dripping all over.
Talagang, yun yung pinakamahalaga. Philippine Spy Agency. Kung magtatayo ka lang ng spy agency, yung gano'n ang pangalan.
Para klaro what they do, right? PSA. Straightforward. Sana naman bukas may better news. Sana naman di na depressing yung news natin.
Philippine Spy Agency.
But we will leave that there. Thank you so much for joining Storycon today. Aming Pamituan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, Ronald Llamas, our resident political spy. Join us again tomorrow, 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.